Hello, everyone. This is Orlando from A Collector's Dream, and I'm out for a really nice, relaxing walk today. So I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit and kind of do a VR for Brent Richards, who's an awesome guy. So, good morning, Hugo. So hopefully we got some guys on today. I don't see many people on right now, but wanted to just kind of talk a little bit and do this VR for Brent Richards. And Brent, hey, what's up, John? So Brent wanted to us to talk a little bit about our hobby experience, either at a ballpark or something like that. Check out the birds here walking, coming through, guys. So anyway, I just wanted to talk about really how I started collecting because the ballpark experience for me was really the big thing that got me going. Even though I collected cards early, initially I started collecting cards in the late '60s. When I found my collection again, I I looked through it and I had, yeah, I mean, I had some cards, a few from the '50s and early '60s, but I had stacks of '68s, '69s, and then from then on, tons of '70s. And I mean, I built a '70s set, and I even have a checklist that I did. So that's kind of my history there. But all that started really with my grandfather, because since we came from Cuba, my dad and mom worked. My dad worked really, I think, two jobs, three jobs, and my mom worked. So my grandfather took care of me, and my grandma, and all my family were sports fans, and my grandfather especially was a huge baseball fan and a huge boxing fan. So check it. This is where we got to be careful. See, that's where we got to be careful. No swimming in the lake. So that's what we got to watch out for. But anyway, so that's kind of how I got into it, and since my grandfather was huge in Cuba, he owned a couple of grocery stores, so he sponsored a local team there, where really it was like a pro team, but it was one of the teams there in Cuba, Victoria Latunas. So one of the players on that team was a pitcher. Uh, the best pitcher they had was Orlando Pena, and Orlando Pena ended up playing in here in the United States. So actually played for the Orioles. So when the Orioles came to town for spring training, my grandfather would take me to the games, and that's why the Orioles became my favorite team at the time, and still they're the Yankees too, because the Yankees also did spring training here in South Florida. So both of those were my favorite teams. So just walking, I've been walking for about a mile, and I'm gonna probably do 5 miles here. So hey, Brian. So one day, he saw that I was playing Little League already because I had some friends across the street that the father was a Little League coach, and we were four boys, and they all played. So I played Little League, and my grandfather took me one day to one of the Orioles games, and he caught a foul ball, and he said, after the game, we're going to go down there. I know this guy, Orlando Pena, one of the players. So I'm like, okay, there's a swan all the way down there at the end here. Let's see. There's a swan all the way there. See? So anyway, he's got to watch out for the alligators. So went to that game. After the game, my yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I don't have his autograph. I gotta pick up something. They're super cheap, you know. And he played with some good players. But anyway, after that game, you know, back in those days, and it was here in old Miami Stadium, and it was like, you know, you could just go right there, talk to the players, almost kind of go on the field there. So at the end of the game, I remember my grandfather. I was kind of like, I don't know, maybe 10, 12 years old, something like that. My grandfather took me down before the game was over. He says, let's go down. So we went all the way down, and right near the Orioles dugout was like the pitchers were hanging out right next to there. So we went right down to the fence there, and he calls Orlando over. Orlando Pena comes over, and he introduces me, you know. And I really never knew another player named Orlando other than Orlando Cepeda. I actually didn't know anybody named Orlando other than my father. I didn't know anybody and Orlando Cepeda. So I didn't really know Orlando Pena at the time, but he introduced me. Look, Orlando, this is my grandson, Orlando. And it was like awesome because he got the ball, he signed the ball, and then he opened a little gate there because the game was like just finished. And he let us in. And he told me to just sit here right at the end of the he was talking to my grandfather. He sat me at the end of the bench, and he gave the ball to the different players. I've shown that ball before. If you guys look at my videos, you can go back and see it. I still have that ball, autographed by Brooks Robinson, my favorite player, Boog Powell, Al Bunbury, Andy Etcheberry, uh, uh, almost the entire Jim Palmer, um, almost all of the players, Oriole players at the end. The ball's kind of faded, but you can still see most of the autograph. And of course, Orlando Pena. And you know, I got to sit at the bench there, and then Brooks Robinson was the one that came up and actually was the first one that got the ball. And I know I wanted Jim Palmer's autograph. And Brooks was a good player and stuff and all that, but you know, I mean, at the time Jim Palmer was like the, you know, he was like the big player, I guess. Well, that's the guy I remember in those days, you know. But and I got a chance to talk to Brooks Robinson as my ball was being passed around and signed by the players. And maybe it was 5, 10 minutes, but it seemed like 20, 30 minutes I was there, you know. When you're a kid, time seems to go slower, especially if you have something like that happen to you, you know. And it was just an incredible experience, and that kind of got me going, you know. And the other thing that got me started, you know, it got me started in autographs. And believe it or not, autographs was the first thing. I mean, I got into cards, but I really enjoyed the autographs, especially after that, and getting those in-person autographs and meeting the people. So the only major team that was here in Miami that had just recently started was the Dolphins. And the Dolphins, lucky for me, the Orange Bowl, I could ride my bike. It's a couple, 2, 3 miles away from my house. And I could ride my bike to the Orange Bowl with my friends. And so we did that. And when the when the Dolphins started getting good, you know, we started going like in the I think it's 70. I have the year the pro books, you know, that they sold there, and I've shown that in another video before. But we would go after the games, or really during the games, because in those days, around the third quarter, they let everybody in. You know, Dolphins were a terrible team, and then all of a sudden they became, you know, the champions. And I've shown we used to ride our bikes over to the stadium, and then once we got in there, you know, near the end of the game, or at the end of the game, whatever, you know, those pro magazines that people would buy there, some of the people would just leave them. So I'd pick one of those up, you know, uh, and you know, wait for the players to come out of the dugouts. And we all knew it was a group of us. It was me and two other guys, but you always see a bunch of other kids around there. So you just follow the crowd. And I would take my magazine and I'd go wait for the players to come out and get their autographs. And man, that was awesome. I did that for a few years. And I shown those magazines, even though that my sisters cut up some of the magazines to make a collage. But I still have a ton of autographs in there. I mean, I've got from Don Shula, Fabricio Morrow, Paul Warfield, Mercury Morris, Larry Zonka, Jim King, Jay Scott, Bonacani, Bama Howard. I mean, Larry Little, you name them, I got them all. And many more than once in different games. And of course, other players. I mean, when the Browns would come in, I mean, I remember getting Leroy Kelly. That was an awesome one at the time. And, it was just a fun thing, and I enjoyed that. And then, that was kind of my, for Brent, those are kind of my experiences that I remember the most. And they're kind of autograph events more than card collecting. But it was with my grandfather, and the other one was with my friends. So it was just really the time of my life, being able to meet some of these players that at the time were just bigger than life, and after that I started with my collection, going back to my collection once I left my house and went to college, got married. About a 7 year period or so, my collection was at my mom's house, and then my mom called one day and said, "Hey, you want these cards?" I said, "Yeah." So I was living in Tampa. I went down there and picked them up. And man, when I went through that, the memories that it brought back, and the desire to complete some of the sets that I had started. I mean, I remember the 1970 set. I checked it all off at the first checklist. First series, I was missing one card. Second series, I missed like 10 cards total for the set. And in those days, there was no real way other than trading with kids or buying packs to do that. And apparently, I bought so many packs. And I remember buying packs. I used to cut lawns and go use the money to buy packs. And I had, I mean, 4 or 5 cards of each player, pretty much. In many cases. So here you go. It's great to have you guys on. I really, really appreciate it, man. I was just, you know, taking a walk, and I said, you know what? I got VR to do. Mike Petty won't be happy when we do a VR, but I had to share that experience for Brent, and figured I'd walk and talk a little bit about my hobby started, I guess. So there's another part of the lake here. The lake goes all the way around. Kind of homes go right to it there, and then back over there. It's like a big canal back on that side that goes kind of to the highway and to the Everglades area, essentially. So, but anyway, so when I got my cards back, I ended up that I got almost every set. I had a bunch of 68s. Actually had 2 Nolan Ryan rookies in there, and I still have one of them. I still one of my original ones. It graded a 5, and I still have it. And my doubles I ended up selling. So what I did was I had 68, 69, 70s, all that stuff in there after that. I ended up doing a little card show at the mall. It was like, I don't know, 25 bucks a table, whatever it was, super cheap. And I brought a bunch of stuff out there, and binders and doubles and stuff I had. And it ended up that it was awesome experience. I got to meet so many people, and that's really what kind of the people, the dealers that were there, the people that were coming up to you were, I think, the biggest thing that got me real back in the hobby, because it's really more about the people, not the cards themselves. It is about the cards, but you know, it's tough to enjoy them by yourself. And that's, one of the things about YouTube. So really, for me, those card shows were more about that and about buying because I would go and let's say I sold, $300. I'd always have people coming up to sell me stuff and I'd spend $200. But I always want to make sure that I went home with some money so I could show my wife, no, no, look, I made $100, made a couple $100. Even though I usually spent more than I than I sold. Not more, but I mean I sold more, but I ended up spending probably half that money. And that's where I picked up a lot of my stuff. And one guy sold me his 1962 set with some doubles. Almost a complete set. That's still the set that I had today. And another guy sold me, I mean, just a bunch of stuff. And really, as far as the pre-war, because what happens is after you're doing shows, and I did shows probably for 10 years or so. And once you do that, um, you realize that cards from the 50s, 60s, and 70s, you know, they're not scarce. They're everywhere. I mean, you see them all the time, So, when some people would come up to me and they would bring me any older stuff like that, man, just buy it, even if I didn't know much about it. So one day, one guy, so anyway, I did continue to collect, and stuff. And I ended up building sets. I became a set builder during that time as I bought partial sets or lots and stuff like that. I would build the sets and sell the doubles and build the set. Usually buying partial sets for lots from different people that would come in or from different dealers that I would see. And eventually I had virtually every set from the 50s, not the 52 tops, but almost all the sets, some complete, some, 70, 80% complete, 50s, 60s, and everything from the 70s. I still have everything from the 70s on. So I one day one guy came up to me with some cards I'd never seen. And he had like about 15 of them, and they were the 1888 Goodwin champions. And didn't know what they were. They were tobacco cards I knew that. But hey, James, I may not be looking much at the chat, guys, but I'll start. I just kind of walking and talking and not paying attention to the chat as much. And I can't kind of see the chat too much, just when it flashes right on. So if you have any questions, you could put them up. Maybe if I don't see it, put it up again. But so there were no. So it was part of the little lot I bought from this guy that I didn't really know much about, and there weren't any baseball players in there. So I figured, all right, I put it away. Years later, I was going back through my cards and I realized, man, you know, yeah, I'm definitely going to Strong's and to the National both. So I ended up that I, I, I looked at those cards, I fell in love with them, I looked them up, I started doing some history, research and stuff on cards back from the 1800s. And I'm thinking, man, that's, it was just one of those things. I never thought I'd go back to pre-war, but once you kind of get bored of the golden era cards, you as a collector, you want something new, different, and you want to go back and you want to learn. And history really is so fascinating. So when I started going back and looking up these guys on these little cards, and I'm going, man, look at this wrestler, Joe Acton. Look at this guy. You know, and I go back and oh man, that guy was a star. And you look back at other guys like Muldoon, and you're like, Muldoon, another wrestler. Who is this guy? This is the guy who trained John L. Sullivan, trainer and stuff. And you're like, man. And then you go through and you realize once you start going through, you know, they made cards of these people because these people were famous back in the day. obviously, you know, I mean, the first football card is in that set, you know, and of course I didn't have that in the beginning, so really that got me into the pre-war stuff. And then I said, man, this is a 50 card set. Hey, Greg, good to see you, my friend. So I said, man, that's a 50 card set. This is about, I think about 25 years ago, right? 30, maybe 30 years ago. I said, it's a 50 card set. I put sets together. Should be pretty easy for me to put together a 50 card set, considering that, I've got, I don't know, 13, 14 cards already. So I said, you know what? I want to give this a shot. And I said, let me cross the street real quick because that was coming. So I started looking into it and stuff. And man, what a rabbit hole did I get into? Got into a big rabbit hole. Found out that some of these cards, there's like, 10 that exist total, 15 total, you know. Again, in those days, it really wasn't a PSA. I mean, it really didn't look at PSA. It wasn't like that was, you're looking at the pop, you know. So anyway, I did go down that rabbit hole, and got me into pre-war. And as I uh, continued collecting, I just kind of got more fascinated with the history, and the history and pre-war is the beginning of baseball. Back in the 19th century, and that was where all the rules were established. That's where all the players were, you know, learning. Like Tim Keefe. He uh, was the one that created the changeup. He invented the changeup. You know, and those are the kind of things that are, so interesting to learn about it. And that's what got me back into the pre-war era, and that's why I enjoy, so much history and books like Glory of Our Times, and just to me, I think that was the most fascinating time, you know, in history, for me. And and people didn't really, now you see a lot more people getting into pre-war, and believe it or not, I've seen more pre-war now than I've seen in my life. Before, people didn't even pull it out. You never saw them at shows. You saw very little at shows. But I guess as the popularity came out and the demand is there, you know, some of these cards that were in, like I say, a black hole in somebody's collection that normally will never come out, started coming out. And this is a great time. This is a great time because I think there's going to come a time when a lot of these cards are going to, you know, shrivel up. You're not going to see many of them out there. I mean, you see some cards, let's talk about the Honus Wagner. Yeah, it's the most expensive out there, but, there was a little flurry that a few of them came out, and now you haven't seen any come out lately, have you? I haven't, and I don't think there was a Wagner that sold last year. So some of these cards, they're going to be put away. Some of these rare issues, the Collins and McCarthy's and all that kind of stuff, you're not going to see much of those, because those are going to be in permanent collections. And, just like my Goodwin Champion set, it's they're in my collection. They're not coming out. Yeah, it's a beautiful morning. It's a little bit cloudy, a little cloudy today, but not much. It's about 75 degrees out here today, and it's just a nice day to go out for a walk. So I figured I'd do that. So anyway, so my focus, like I said earlier in the beginning of this talk, you know, um, I really got into the autographs. There was a time I really got into autographs, but in my day, you didn't have autograph cards. We didn't have those autographed because, again, it was a no-no. I wish I would have, Yeah, it's true, Craig. You're right, my friend. History is so important. So, we did autograph cards. So I have a lot of autograph photos, some autograph balls, but a lot of my stuff were like the Dick Perez. That's most of my autographs, either the Dick Perez or the football. And really, when I got into football, was really my main sport for a long time because of the Dolphins playing here, the Dolphins winning here in the early '70s. So became a huge fan of that, and I got into the football, and I started. One of my projects is still ongoing. Is my collection of Hall of Fame autographed football players, and I think I've got 226 Hall of Fame autographs of football players from all the way back to modern. Not the very modern guys, because I it's they're on the goal line art cards, and they ended at 2018. So, but you can get all the modern guys now on the cards, but getting them on those goal line art cards, just I think that's one of my biggest accomplishments in my collecting. 226 guys, and I'm working on it. There's a possibility of 240 something out of the 300. So there was 300 Hall of Famers at that time, and of course some of them could not autograph it, like Jim Thorpe and players like that. But the majority of them, you know, yeah, the Dolphins were the no-name defense, and they're also called the Killer Bees. Yes, because the defense, Bonacani, Baumauer, a few of the other guys there. But I started autograph collecting, baseball card collecting, and then I moved back to the 50s, 60s, all the way back to the pre-war, and uh, and that's kind of where I'm at today. And I am. I did win an auction. I haven't gotten it yet, and probably in a week or so. And my goals this year, kind of the same. Find some big name, middle of the burrito guys that Petty calls them. Get some big cards. I'd like to pick up a Wagner eventually, and a Cobb, maybe the green Cobb, or maybe Cracker Jack or something like that. One big card, and that will make me happy. And the other stuff is try to complete some of the sets that I've been working on there. Good morning. So, so yeah, the set basically is the Goodwin Champion set, which I'm upgrading. That's what I want at auction. The tough thing about that set is that there's so little out there that the only way to get that really is going through, mostly through auctions. You don't see many on eBay. And the one on eBay are all like crazy, crazy prices. So I bought a lot of 5 cards on the Heritage auction. And I bought it because I needed one. And it's not like I needed it, but I really wanted to upgrade it because it is the top tennis player in that set. And he is the founding father of tennis. And I won't tell you who it is, but I've got the card in a 3, and I picked it up in higher grade. And the tough thing about those cards that there's very few of them, and on top of that, the highest graded is a 5. So if the highest grade is a 5, that tells you how tough it is. So, hey, what's up, guys? What's up, Robert? What's up, Adam? So yeah, I've been going out for a walk, just talking a little bit about really my collecting. I did a little VR there for right in the beginning, and then just talking about a little bit about collecting history and Mookie's in the chat. So I've been walking like, I don't know, 3 miles, got a couple more miles to go. So Yeah, I can't wait to see everybody at Strongsville and the National. I think that's going to be huge, for me, just to hang out with the guys. And this time, I'm going to make more time for my friends because, I mean, I shoot a lot of video and it takes a lot of time, and I'm still going to do that, but I really got to spend time. Hey, what's up, Garrett? I'm glad you're on here, my friend. I was just talking a little bit about my collecting history, kind of how it started. A little story for Brent Richards, how I started with, my first autographed ball that my grandfather got at the Orioles game. Got the foul ball, took me down to get some autographs. So I started really kind of as an autograph collector there. And then I'd go down to the Dolphin games. That's when we're talking about the Dolphins, the early 70s, when they were the best team in the world. And I'd get all the autographs for all Dolphin players and the other players and stuff like that. And I've shown those in my videos there, those pro magazines that have autographs of Greasy and Morrill and Warfield and Zonka and Shula and Kick and Bonacani and other players from other teams. So that was kind of how I started. And then I talked about my 50s and 60s. When I was a dealer. About 10 years, I got into that. And then, it gets to a point that you see so much of the 50s and 60s and 70s cards that you kind of want to go back. And that happened to me, like I said, about 25, 30 years ago with one specific set that I fell in love with. And that was the Goodwin 1888 Goodwin Champion set. And then from then on, it just kind of went on to learn. And I think, what happens is that when you start going back and doing some research and read books like Glory of Our Times and things like that, you really, you know, hey, my friend, yeah, definitely got to meet you. Got to meet everybody and talk to everybody again because I've met a lot of you guys, but really never had a chance to sit down and really chat. So, but yeah, I just, you know, there's so much history in baseball. It goes back, 150 years, and there's so many people that really should never be forgotten that they, created this sport. And the same thing with football. I'm a big football fan, like I said too. So I got into football, and I did collect a lot of football cards, but ended up more focusing into baseball. But when I got to pre-war, I ended up getting football. So as you guys know, I got the first football card, and I got the rarest football card, the the, the Mayo Cup plug, anonymous, and just research and a lot of that stuff that I learned was not just in books, but through people, other dealers when I was a dealer, and through Net 54, because that's the biggest resource that we have are other collectors. And what Sammy showed, the video that Sammy did of a sampling of some of the members of Net 54 and their collection. I mean, I'm Net 54, and I would love to have gone there and brought some of my nice stuff to show because this is stuff that you never see. It's once in a lifetime stuff. Those are items that will be in people's collections forever. And, you know, like I said, some of those things, you see them, you got to get them because you'll probably never see them again. And that's kind of my philosophy with some of that stuff. Um, let's see, I think we're going to go ahead and start heading back. This is the clubhouse area here. Yeah, this is a clubhouse. I'll give you a quick walk around here. There's like a walking track over here and stuff. And then there's the tennis and the pool and all that is over there. But for me, it was just one of those things that the history just got me down that rabbit hole. And every player I read about, from Cap Anson to King Kelly to Ty Cobb to Tris Speaker and Sam Crawford and all these guys that you heard the name, but you don't even didn't know who they were. I mean, once Rue Marquardt and you know Mordecai Brown, I mean, those are just incredible history that should never be forgotten as the tennis courts here. And so to me, that, you know, I kind of got bored of seeing all of the cards from the 50s and 60s, and so that's when I decided that I'm going to go ahead and go that route. But what I'm going to do is I've got to pick up my dream card. My dream card was always a 52 top man. I mean, that's everybody's dream card, and I always wanted that, and never thought I could get it. But that's when I made my decision to just go ahead and, you know, I'm going to go ahead and sell. Again, I was older already, so for me it was the time to go ahead and make a move. So I ended up, you know, starting to sell, put some money together for my mantle, and just looked and looked and looked, and hopefully hoping to get a one, maybe a two, and that was my goal. Wait, hold on a second, guys. Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, I think it's everybody's. When you think about baseball and baseball cards, and you show it. I mean, the first card everybody thinks about, yeah, you got the Wagner, but that's in the form, is the mantle, the 52 mantle. I mean, since I was a kid, I wanted the 52 mantle, and I'm thinking, hell, am I going to die without a 52 mantle? No, it's not going to happen to me, but buddy, I'm not going to do that. I've got to do whatever it takes because I had every mantle card, including the rookie, but I didn't have the 52. And without the 52, it's like it's like you don't have that dream, the collector's dream. You know what I mean? You don't have the collector's dream. And a collector's dream, by the way, that was my name as a dealer. That was my dealer name back in the 80s and that was my dream. I always wanted, Mantle was my favorite player. My dream was to get the Mantle run, and I got every card except the 52. And I kind of gave up. I gave up on it. But I made that decision, you know, I was getting ready to retire, and I had to retire at 62. And, you know, I was thinking, man, a few more years, and because my dad was already sick at the time, and I had to take care of him and my mom. And I'm thinking, I'm never going to get my dream card. And I said, you know what? Look at all the stuff I got. How many times do I go through there and look at my, 68 set or my 61 set or my 65 set? I didn't do it. So I said, you know what? I'm going to start moving this stuff, get my money together, and I'm going to get my mantle. And I did it. I did it. I sold off some of my great stuff, my 53 Bowman set, a lot of my great, great sets. I kept the mantles and some of the good players. I showed my 57, what I kept from my 57 set. All the other 57 I sold, and that's kind of what I did. You know, I piecemealed them out, sold most of them, that way, and put some money together, and then looked and looked and looked, went to shows, went to national, and looked and looked and looked. Couldn't find that right one. It was the most money I've ever spent, and I didn't want to just, you know, throw it away on something that was a one with some creasing that I would just look at the card and look at the crease, or, I wanted the right one, and you know, I had the opportunity to buy one that I thought was good, and it was in my range, a little bit above, and I almost pulled the trigger, and I didn't pull the trigger, and I regretted it for a little bit, and then my dream card popped up, and patience, and I think, God helped me with this one because that card popped up and in an auction, it was a recent find of somebody that had passed away. And they didn't even know that the dad collected cards and they ended up finding it in the attic. That card was just open from the pack. And, luckily for me, it came out a minimum size card because if not, I would never be able to afford a card that looked like that, you know? And so I ended up paying more than I wanted to. So I had to pay up more, but I don't care. I got my dream card. I'm glad I got it. And really, that is what topped off my collection, And now, you know, I mean, I'm willing to move some of my other cards that I have, a lot of my other cards, which I will be doing, consolidating a little bit more, and hopefully buying a big card at Strongsville or the National pre-war card is what I'm gonna look to buy. So that's kind of my history, I guess, my background, and it's a fun journey. But the best part about it now is, I collected alone all those years, and it's a tough thing. It's a good thing, it's a bad thing. The good thing is that since you don't know any better, you kind of really collect what you like because you don't get any influence because there was no YouTube back then. There was no card collectors back then. There was nothing, other than just talking to some, hey, what's up, Jay? Talking to some dealers and stuff. But I didn't have many collector friends, back then. And today it's a lot different. But it's a good thing because now you see a lot of new, different things that even I had never seen before. So some of the stuff Mangini shows and Stooks and stuff like that, stuff that's really unique stuff. So that's a good thing. There's more variety now. Oh man, nice, nice. So yeah, Jay is an incredible TTMer, man. And if you don't subscribe to his channel, check it out. And his custom cards are just killer. There's some great stuff. And talking about Camilo, I got a comment on one of my videos, and the comment was from Pascual's family. I don't remember the name right now, but it was something Pascual. And I had said earlier that my sister used to work with Camilo's. Hey, Adam. Yeah, Jay. Yeah, used to work with Camilo's daughter years ago, and she ended up looking up Camilo's daughter's number, called her, contacted her, and told her about my YouTube channel, told her about my videos that I've done for Camilo, and talked to her about, hey, this guy so and so Pascual. He said, oh, that's my cousin. So, and he commented on one of my videos. You can probably go back and look at it in the comment, and it says something like, um, "I saw Camilo. I'm a family member of Camilo. I saw him yesterday, and he's doing great." And he's something like he's 90 or 91 years old, something like that. I think he's 90 years old, but apparently he's doing well. And so my sister talked to Camilo's daughter, told her that I would like to talk to him and meet him. She lives in another state, so that's the issue. And he's a private person. He's got people that take care of him, but lives here in South Florida. So that's the good thing. And I'm hoping that maybe next time that and she said that she would try the next time that she's in town that she would let my sister know. So maybe we could go and meet Camilo and to and hopefully I'll do a little interview with Camilo Pascual. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's just a waiting game. But you know what? That's the thing with this hobby. It's all about patience. You gotta be patient. You know, if you're gonna start a set, a great conversation yesterday on that T206 set, that live stream. It was awesome. Where you had Jake, you had Chris Torres on there, and you had Max Jackson. And these guys are just top notch collectors that are, just extremely knowledgeable. And, they're especially about the T206, and that's the thing. There's so many great people to contact in this community about any specific set or any specific kind of cards. You know, there's always an expert on YouTube, and that's what I love about this. Hey, thanks, Adam. Just taking a walk today, enjoying the scenery. It's a beautiful day. It's a little cloudy. We make a little sprinkle of rain, but overall, it's just 75 degrees and enjoying it. So, anyway, let's see what we got here. Still got another mile or so to go. So, I don't know. I don't know what you guys want me to talk about, but I think that, going back to the live stream, the best advice that they could give you on that is to start with do your homework first. Do your homework. Study what you're going to buy. If you want to spend some good money, you make sure you spend it well. Then you go and get the stars. Get the mantle first, if that's what you're going to do. Let me hold on a second. Morning, guys. Yeah, they cleaned up the place, which is a good thing. So, yeah, my advice is, like they said in the live stream, get the big cards or get the tough cards first. Because if you decide that you don't want to complete the set, or you can't complete the set, or you change your mind about the set, you're not stuck with a bunch of commons. You know, you're stuck with some big name stars or tough cards that that you could always move easily. So that's really the best advice that I could give as far as set building, whatever set you do. So when I went for my New Champion set, first thing I did, I went for the stars. So I didn't have any of the big guys, the Cap Anson and all that, and you know, and since they were rare, oh, these guys, since they were rare, I was buying what I could find because I just couldn't find them. It wasn't like you can go on eBay back then. This was before. I mean, I started eBay and I'm a member since I think 1999. So, and I've been collecting these for that. These guys. The best thing about the community is sending each other gifts and cards and things like that. That is awesome. I mean, it's just, yeah, the best thing about collecting. The best thing about collecting. So, but yeah, man, I started. I remember picking up back then. I picked up my first Cap Anson for $750, and it was a lot of money back then. $750 for a card, and it had front damage. It had paper loss on the front. I would never get that today, but I got it. But I had to get it because I you just didn't see them. And eventually I upgraded and all that stuff, and I'm still upgrading. So, well, you got to do a video on that card, on the Christmas card now. I want to see that, Adam. So, but yeah, it's a fun hobby. The good thing about this hobby is that there's so many directions to go. I mean, you got the TTMers, you got the pre-war guys, you got the modern guys, you got the golden era guys, vintage and stuff. So, it's just it's the best thing about the community. Remember, we're all, even though we may collect different things, we're all collectors. We all, love the sport, love the players, love what we're doing, love to show it to other people, love to hang out with other people. I mean, it's all about, the community, really. That's really what it all comes down to. My hobby took, 100% improvement when I came to YouTube. And mine was basically just a pretty bad situation where I started YouTube. I won't get into that right now, but it was probably one of the worst times of my life. But YouTube, just documenting. Really, I started to document my cards because you're thinking the worst. What happens if I pass away? Nobody knows what I've got. It's in the safe deposit box, and the other stuff is hidden away. And so that's how I started YouTube, and it was the best thing because it took me from the most depressed, most depression got times in my life to now the best times of my life. And these are the best times of my life. And I think they're the best times of our lives if we only see that and realize it and internalize that. You know, I mean, you got to enjoy every day of your life. You got to enjoy the hobby. You got to enjoy the friends. And best of all, we're in this thing together, guys. We're in this hobby all together. And the friendships, to me, if I lost all my cards today, but I still had, well, except my 52 man rock cake, that thing is that thing is staying with me forever. But if I lost all my other cards, or whatever happened, but I still had all these guys that I've met on YouTube, my life would be better off because of you guys. I will put all the YouTube guys, this community, above my collection because it's just you guys are real. You're not cardboard. you know, it's real life and real people and awesome people. And okay, Orlando, I'm getting emotional here. So that's about it for me on that. Um, yeah, it looks like it's a big cloud coming over here. Check that out. But we're good. We're good. And so anyway, guys, I just wanted to do a walk here. Yeah, I want to do a walk. I don't even know how many people are still watching or in the chat here. Probably a couple. I know Mookie's still there. Yeah, you start to walk over, man. I'm getting tired. I got about another mile to go before I get to my house, so I got to keep walking, and that's the thing. Got to keep going. Got to keep on moving. I appreciate that. Thanks, Jay. Thanks, guys. So it is about the people. So and listen, any of you guys that ever want to reach out to me for any reason, except for Jason, anybody else that wants to reach out to me is welcome to reach out. You know, send me an email. If you don't have my number, I'll give you my number, or reach out to any of the other guys that have my number, except Jason. I love you, my friend. Just kidding. But yeah, let's get in touch. And if you guys are going to be at the National, make sure you come up and give me a big hug, or you're going to see me coming up to you and giving you guys a big hug. But I think I'm going to end it here, finish my walk, and and enjoy the rest of the day. And we'll see. I'm going to see what I'm going to do today on my videos. I'm thinking about doing a video on the 59 set. I see a few people were showing some 59 cards, but we'll see. We'll see what I got when I get home. So thanks so much, guys. Truly, truly appreciate it. Every one of you guys. I love you all. Thanks for being on the stream and hanging out with me and kind of getting bored of me talking to myself. But it's been fun. No gators. We're coming up to the the lake again. That's where they're at. So anyway, guys, yeah, I've seen a lot of 59s out there. I'm telling you. So I'm gonna go ahead and probably pull out my 59 set to take a good look at that. So appreciate it, guys. Well, here comes the gators. Let's check out see if there's any gators on this lake, and then I'll end the stream. We're gonna make it almost an hour here. Let's see. The birds are chirping. All right, guys. The birds are saying goodbye. Have an awesome day, guys. It's Orlando from A Collector's Dream. I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.